Our guest this morning is Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch, talking about the Supreme Court nomination. But we need to turn the corner here, if we could, Tom, because we have these new emails that you guys have dredged up from Hillary Clinton and some staff members suggest that Hillary Clinton knew very clearly that the actions that she took by using a private server and her little BlackBerry-like device was a security concern. Explain how we now know this.
Because the emails show, these are 2009 emails from February, back when she just first came into the Secretary of State position.
Right.
And she didn't like the idea, I guess she's there a minute and a half, of having to put her BlackBerry, that was unsecure, it was unsecure then, and as it was throughout her entire term, in a safe or in a place, secure place, while she was in a secure compartmentalized facility,
right,
where sensitive information, classified information, she didn't like having to do that, or having to go in the hallway to check her personal email or her government email, or both.
Because it was an inconvenience.
It was, and she wanted to know what POTUS used. And the NSA told the State Department officials who were tasked with doing this by Cheryl Mills, her chief of staff, to shut up and color. And the emails show that it was Hillary Clinton pushing for this. Mills had a meeting with, I think, a half a dozen State Department officials, almost a half a dozen national security NSA officials, saying, chiefly driven by Mrs. Clinton, who does not use standard computer equipment but relies exclusively on her BlackBerry for emailing. Ideally, all members of her suite would be allowed to use BlackBerries for communications in the SCIF.
Yeah, and the SCIF, let's just break this down real fast. This is called Mahogany Row. This is a place that is isolated at the State Department where all the confidential top secret information is, and you're not allowed to bring your BlackBerry device in there. And
anything.
Or anything, right, because you know, national security. And she gets perturbed by that. So she says, well, I want what the president has. And NSA says, no, you're not going to get what the president has. You're not the president. And 1 month later, am I correct here? 1 month later, she decides to do her own private server and set it up. Now, is there a connection there between those two things?
Well, she was using her own email. You know, it was a matter of whether it was a separate email server initially, but she was using her BlackBerry emails. Who knows where, you know, that was an AT&T account, I recall. Mm-hmm. You know, she had more than one account initially.
Right, but it wasn't the Hillary Clinton mail or whatever it was, yeah.
But she also was told that BlackBerries were not secure and she shouldn't use them for government business.
And that's the big moment right there, because that means that she knew full well before she set up the private server that the device she was using was not secure. She had been explained to her at the very highest levels by the smartest people in the government, you can't do that.
And we have emails from that we received previously that show a month later also, she said, I got the memo on that. I've got the message. Yeah. She was told they weren't secure. She sought secure BlackBerries or personal digital devices, and yet she then used that material for classified business.
Even though she got the memo, yeah.
If prosecutors in the FBI don't have a case after this, I don't know when they would.
One last thing, just politically, not legally, but politically, she's making the point, well, Condi Rice had the setup before me. And there are emails where she asked, well, what about Condi Rice? She was allowed to do this. And the response from NSA was?
They figured out BlackBerries weren't secure, and any waivers to do that were phased out. And of course, Condi Rice did not abuse this system the way, and no one abused it. No one else did this. This is why in news this week as well, we put forward to the court our plan for discovery. Yeah. The court already granted our motion for discovery. Judge Sullivan, in one of our cases, we're going to be taking testimony from some of these officials.
Yeah. Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch. The law is on their side. You should be on Judicial Watch's side, too. Go to their website, judicialwatch.org.
Thanks, Tom. Greatly appreciated.